Yo, welcome to the New Normal Podcast, the realest, trillest podcast there is. Today I want to talk about something that kind of touched my heart today. Well, it did touch my heart, and that was the Texas school shooting that happened today. Um, it really was a sad thing. So far from what I see, it was 14 kids have died and one teacher. I'm going to read this article from the Texas Tribune. It says Robb Elementary teaches second, third, and fourth grade students in Unval, which is about 85 miles west of San Antonio. Governor Greg Abbott said the shooter is believed to have been killed by responding law enforcement. The shooting started around 11:32 p.m. The Texas Department of Safety confirmed that the Texas Tribune the 18 children and three adults are dead after the shooting at Robb Elementary in Unval County on Tuesday. Others were also injured. Governor Greg Abbott said the shooter is dead and is believed to be killed by responding officers. The shooter acted alone, said Pete Aladondo, Unveiled Consolidated Independent School District Chief of Police. What happened in Unveil is horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas, Abbott said. Two hospitals in the area are treating those injuries in the shooting. Unveil Memorial Hospital told the Texas Tribune it had received 13 children and one adult from ambulances and buses. Two patients arrived at the hospital dead. Two children have since been transferred to San Antonio for treatment, while a third is pending transfer. University Health in San Antonio has said it was providing care for two patients connected to the shooting. The 66-year-old woman and the 10-year-old girl are in critical condition. Abbott identified the shooter as Salvador Ramirez, an 18-year-old Unveiled resident. The man abandoned his vehicle and entered Robb Elementary with a handgun and possibly a rifle. The governor said the shooting started around 11:32 a.m. Arredondo said. Abbott also said that Ramirez reportedly shot his grandmother before entering the school. No other details are immediately available on that shooting. So after reading that and seeing what is going on in this school, we can touch on a lot of things that has, been going on, the laws that have been passed, the bills that have been passed, how, people have seemingly tried to attack children in every facet there is. But this one is like one of the most horrific things you can, think about. Me being a father of two and just imagining my kids going to school and then coming back, me going to pick them up or getting a phone call or them never coming back to the house because someone decided to go in there and kill innocent kids that had nothing to do with him. I don't know why he did it. They haven't specified a motive or anything, but I will say that shit is really, really fucked up. We have a lot of people that preach homeschool, 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 and at the same time, even the people at home are not qualified to take care of children for an extended period of time. Even when you think about the pandemic, that was a time like right when it started. And I'm from Birmingham, so and I'm gonna tell you the story that Birmingham City still had to provide lunches for those students because come to find out, students were only going to school to get lunches, not to learn. So that should let people know the level of parenting that's going on and people being able to provide for the children that they're having. Now, we can touch on other things like abortion. I'm on the fence with abortions. I don't think we should be doing it, but at the same time, it's gonna sound fucked up. The more kids that's not able to interact with my children, the better. And that's how I feel, because if you don't want to take care of your children, if you're not going to discipline your children properly, if you're not going to feed them, if you're going to neglect them, I say hell, it's at the same time it's like a quick death or a lifetime of suffering. Group homes, possibly being molested, mistreated, beat on, picked on, um, like I said, it's a lot of mental things that go on, and these are people that will have to go back into our society. So when it comes to that, like I said, I'm 50-50. I can see one side where a person is just out there and, not being cautious to not get pregnant, and then they end up pregnant and they don't know what to do with it. So I can understand that one, but at the same time, it's like we back to this issue where we're all sad and we're mourning kids getting killed, but at the same time, isn't that, the same thing? So that's why this video is important, because we have to talk about a lot of different facets of protecting children. And I'm going to say this: kids, kids are really, I want to say, people always say kids are not are a blessing. And I would have to say, from being a parent, kids aren't a blessing, and you being a parent bringing them into this world isn't a blessing to them. Kids aren't a blessing, and you aren't blessing your children by bringing them into this world. The reason that I say that, first, the birthing experience is strenuous on the woman's body and on the baby's body. Being a father of a NICU baby, any little mishap could, hinder your child's growth and development, them being in the NICU. And, my son was in the NICU. This is just a personal story, for 2 months, basically off of neglect by nursing professionals and the advice that we got. So that's why he ended up in the NICU. He's doing fine now, but at the same time, you never want to see your child laid up. He had to get hooked up to the ECMO machine, and just that, simply getting here through the birthing process, is already strenuous on the mother, which isn't a blessing to her, and to the baby, which isn't a blessing to him or them. Um, that alone is crazy. Let's talk about your children fucking with your sleep schedule, right? Fucking with you and your wives or your girlfriend intimacy. A lot of people think that kids bring you closer when you have a child. This is so far from the truth. A child is very strenuous. It's hard to do. It takes, it's work, it's a job, it's strenuous, and you have to actually love being a parent. The sleepless nights, the stress, the worrying, taking care of them, even changing diapers and clothing them and feeding them and the right medicines, and taking care of their skin and making sure their growth is, properly, their growth, developing properly, and their brain function and the cognitive skills. And like I said, as a parent, I didn't know what to expect, and I don't think no one actually understands or know what to expect with having a child. And I'm gonna circle this all the way back into why it saddens me with the Texas shooting. Because after you go through all of these things with your child, you build them up, you send them off to school, you've been feeding them, they're around other kids, and you have to come back and break little bad habits they get from school. And you see this person, your little mini me, or maybe your wife's mini me, and they're growing up and you're seeing how they are. Then it's like, damn, I'm getting an attachment. And over time, like a lot of people like to say, for me, I'm gonna go about personal experience, but I'm gonna say what people say. People always say, I just love my baby, instantly when they got here. And so with me, I'm gonna say this: I didn't know how to feel, and I actually delivered my first baby, and my second baby was an emergency C-section. Like I said, it was, malpractice on the information we got. And I don't want to go into it too deep on this video, just in case it goes farther than just me talking about it. But it was definitely malpractice on what was going on, with the birth of my son. So, and like I said, when you've doing all of this for this little person, and you're waking up and you have to get schedules and you have to get routines and you have to find out milk, or if you're feeding, and then you learn, you realize how hard breastfeeding is, and then your wife or your girlfriend complain about sore nipples, or if they have enough milk. Like I said, it's so many intricate details that go into having children. And like I said, I understand why some people opt out of having kids, because some days you be like, damn, this little motherfucker getting on my nerves. But then at the same time, that's 5 minutes. And then the next 5 minutes, they doing something, climbing, saying something, falling off the couch, or doing something silly, and it kind of warms your heart. So it's like, okay, I understand. I kind of understand what's really going on. You feel what I'm saying? Like I have a warm spot for this person. And so, like with me, it was a thing that had to develop over time because I didn't know how to feel. And that goes into a lot of other shit that I deal with too, emotionally. So it was like, I don't know, how I feel, but then over time, maybe about a month, it's like, damn, this person looks just like me. This person's acting like me. This person, has an attitude like me. And then with my other son, my baby boy, he's just like his mom. It's like, I want this person gonna be like me, act like me. He acts like his mom. He's more mean, more attitude. He's a fighter. He's more like a feisty, type of person. And when you have kids, it's kind of like an ego thing. I tell people this: people only have kids out of ego and being irresponsible. People only have kids out of ego or being irresponsible. Ego is because me personally, I want to see what my dick can produce, right? And you've heard a lot of people say, you heard a lot of men talk about this and say this. That's why you hear a lot of men have a lot of kids. Like Mike Tyson was one. He's like, man, I was just in love with my dick. I was just in love with my dick. And and this is men, women may not understand this, but it's a thing where he's like, I just want to see what my dick can produce. I want to see the reactions that my dick can make with women. And so it's kind of I hate using this word, but it's a narcissistic feeling or action to even say those type of things, because people using narcissistic and just throwing it around and have no backing at all to even say this shit, right? But like I was saying, it's an ego thing to have kids and to keep having kids, because if you ever see my kids and everybody say my kids are fucking beautiful, both my boys are beautiful. Like my oldest boy, he's more like handsome, and my youngest, he's more pretty. He got curly hair, long. He's really light skinned. Y'all know how y'all be talking about both my boys are light skinned, but my baby boy, he's really light. And I hope y'all can't hear him whining right now, him and his brother in the whining or wrestling in the other room. But anyway, I let the boys be boys. We all here together. Mama gone away, so I let them do their thing. But like I was saying, it's just a thing about ego. You just want to keep producing kids to see what you can bring into this world, especially if you have beautiful kids and people are always talking about how beautiful your kids is. So it strokes your ego a little bit more to want to have, kids or whatnot. Also having being irresponsible. People have kids because they just be fucking. It's just simple as that. They ain't thinking about nothing. And it's weird that we have so many people that are older. Like you might can make that mistake if you 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, maybe 18. But after you get so old and how much access we have in our phones, understanding about condoms, contraceptives, and a whole bunch of other things. They got like copper things you can fit in your vagina that chops the head off the sperm and shit like this. Um, it's just really weird that people are still getting pregnant and trying to act like it's an accident, because we all know sex could potentially lead to having babies. And the thing is, women only ovulate once a month. So that's what 12 you doing math, that's 12 times a year. And women should have a calendar that can predict when they're ovulating. I'm not telling women what to do or what you should do, but from women that I've dealt with, most of them always keep up, with what they're doing, the time they have sex, putting the little hearts on the calendar. Oh, this when I had sex and all of this type of shit. So people keep up. Women keep up with it. I keep up with it as a man if I'm dealing with a woman. If she tell me my cycle comes on this right here, I even put it in my phone as a mental note of the females I'm messing with. So I know, I know right here after this time, I don't need to be messing with this chick because I'm not trying to get her pregnant, right? So, with all that being said, it's like we have kids out of ego and we have kids out of irresponsibility, right? Because there's really no reason to have kids. A lot of people's like, a lot of men like talking about leave my legacy, but a legacy, what it really is that a lot of people ain't gonna live up Anybody know what Michael Jordan's son's doing? You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about this legacy. What about Magic Johnson's son doing? Like when we talk about leave a legacy, a lot of men like to use that, and that's really based off ego too. And women, I think from my experience, this is speaking of my experience, women typically just go with the flow. Whatever you want, they own. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the nature of a woman because you hear a lot of women talking about they want men to lead. So when you have women talking about they want men to lead, they just do what pretty much what you want them to do, or if they feel secure enough in what y'all got going on, they'll just go right along with it, right? And for me, I feel like if I'm around someone, I will kind of want them to have a child out of ego, right? The reason being is because your ego is going to drive you to be a better parent because that's your little mini me. And sometimes your ego keeps you to makes you want to take care of yourself a certain way, treat yourself a certain way, do yourself a certain type of way. Same thing with your children. It's not if your ego is the reason you're having children, you're gonna make sure your child is taken care of, groomed a certain type of way, fed a certain type of way. You're gonna take pride in your child. So if I had to choose, I would want people to I'm around to have children out of ego instead of, you know, irresponsibility. Because I've been around people that have old babies. I've been around people that are just trying to, make their relationship work because they had a child. They wasn't planning on being with each other, but the child came, and so they're there. They're in that relationship, and they're trying to do them the best they can for the sake of the child or whatnot. So I understand that, and it's a commendable thing, but a lot of times that ends up failing too because y'all two people that are not really meant to be together and be there together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just trying to make it work for the kid. And hopefully that doesn't become toxic and the kid sees that toxicity, transpiring in his life or her life. But like I said, that's kind of what I will want to see with people I'm around and taking care of their children is them having kids out of ego. So to tie that back in, if you have people who have gotten their kids, murdered today, and put all this time, all this effort, all of this wisdom, all of this teaching, all of this money, all of this blood, sacrifice, giving up their bodies for 9, 10 months, or men being there rubbing women's feet or massaging her, trying to make the home as comfortable as possible, trying to make it easy as possible, trying to go to classes with her and breathe, learn how to breathe with her, and going through birthing classes, and because he's scared and he don't know how to act, and now he has to be stoic in this moment of her giving birth, and he can't let her know that, hey baby, I'm nervous while we're going through this journey because it's a scary, scary thing. And so like I said, to empathize with people losing their children, and a person who has two children and been through, the best experiences with birth and the worst experience with birth, I understand, and that's why I said my heart goes out to these people to know that somebody can just senselessly go in and just murder your children like this for no reason, no nothing. And they'll try to make a case that he was mentally ill or whatever. But this person really did this. And it's getting to the point now, like I said, you can't just say homeschool because we know that kids get abused at home, and going to school is how a lot of kids get rescued from abusive situations because they go talk to the school counselors. So we can't just be like homeschool because that's not solving anything. I think there needs to be a vetting process for people to have kids. And the way the world's going, we're gonna be Elon putting chips in people's head. It should be a chip in your head that unlocks your brain to see if you're even capable of even, having offspring at all. Like, period. You should not just be able to, cause you can fuck, you can have kids. Like that shit should be time out. And if you're a man and if you really believe in legacy and your seed and your offspring and what you're going to produce and how you want this person to give back to society, your best bet would always be to be very picky and cautious of how you have sex. I know we put a lot of emphasis on the women, but I'm gonna say from my experience, women just fucking, they doing what they want to do. So as a man, you have to be very cautious of who you're having sex with. Also, it is 2022, and from Columbine, we should have gotten to the point where there are enough people and enough school resource officers, policemen, and whatnot at these schools to take on a threat like this. You know, why is it so easy and so easily accessible for kids and people and parents to just get into these schools and just do whatever they want? Which is very weird, which is very strange, and something that needs to be talked about and needs to be fixed, because we cannot keep having issues and things like this go on where kids keep getting killed because there's no officer at the school or multiple officers at the school protecting these children with guns. I thought they were going to pass a law where, teachers could carry guns, and but then that's a slippery slope, because what happens if one of the children gets a hold of the gun, and kills and shoots another classmate or himself or the teacher? So that's a slippery slope, and you have to be careful about that. So right now, I think with this Texas shooting, we have to all be conscious of what's going on, and we have to all understand that we are living in a time where COVID has really, really blown things out of water. People mental health is, people are batshit crazy right now, and COVID just made it 100 times worse. So people don't talk about how many people was committing suicide during the pandemic just because they were locked in the house. That is sad. That is so fucking sad that people don't like themselves that much that they kill themselves. They can't be in the house by themselves because they don't like themselves, which is a scary thing and a scary way to think of stuff that's going on. And like I said, it's not an excuse for the shooter. It's not an excuse for the parent. It's not an excuse for the governor or the school system. It's no excuse for anybody. We all, as a collective, have to do better, and we all have to get to the point where we actually care about our kids. All right, this the new normal podcast. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all follow me on Facebook. Y'all make sure y'all follow me, share my page, my videos, and I'm out. Peace.